and this is chapter 18, Who Needs Gumboots? Hello friends, welcome back to Riverwood Cabin. I'm Rosie Boom and I'm reading to you from my book, Where Lions Roar at Night, the first book in the Barn Chronicles series. And this is chapter 18, Who Needs Gumboots? The next afternoon the river was still high, although the meadow was no longer flooded, and Black Rabbit Island was an island no more. Mum had gone in to visit Auntie Penny, and Dad suggested that they all go down to see the river. "I'll race you to Lantern Waste," yelled Millie to Sam and Jake. She shot off across the meadow. All of a sudden, a terrible pain stabbed her big toe. She screamed and fell to the ground. Angel ran to her and nosed her gently, her golden eyes searching Millie's face. Dad's long strides ate up the distance between them as he ran towards her. "What is it?" "My toe!" She looked down and saw a large splinter of wood driven into her toe just beside the nail. It stung and burned like fire. Dad had a quick look and then picked her up and carried her back to the barn. "Don't touch it," pleaded Millie when he laid her on the couch and pulled over a lamp. "It hurts." "Let me have a look," said Dad. "I won't touch it yet." Jake and Sam crowded around. Ellie sat beside Millie and stroked her hair. After a few minutes, Dad sat back. "It's a big splinter, but it needs to come out." "I want Mummy," sobbed Millie. "I know," said Ellie gently, "but Mum's not here. You're going to have to be brave." Dad had got a pair of pliers and was positioning the light. "Try and hold really still, darling. I'll be as gentle as I can." Ellie held her hand while Dad carefully took hold of the piece of wood and pulled. A searing pain shot through her toe. She screamed and kicked her foot. Dad looked at the small piece of wood that had broken off. "I need to try again." "No, I want Mummy." Ellie ran off and found Dad's cell phone. She quickly sent a text to Mum. By the time Mum rushed in the door, Millie's head throbbed from crying. Her toe throbbed. Her foot throbbed. Mum put her arms around her and whispered and crooned to her for a while. Then she said, "I'm just going to have a look at it, darling. I won't touch it." She pulled the light close. After a minute, she looked up at Dad and shook her head. "I'm not going to try and remove it. The wood's just going to break up if we do, and we'll never get it all out." She looked at Millie and said, "We're going to have to take you to the hospital, darling." Sam ran away when Millie started crying again. "You did the right thing," the doctor told Mum when he'd finished examining Millie's foot. "We need to make sure we get all the wood out, otherwise there's a high risk of infection. I'll give Millie some local anaesthetic and we'll cut the toe open a bit and give it a really good clean out. I won't stitch it so the wound can drain." Mum held Millie's hand tight while the doctor gave her 3 injections around the toe. "You're being so brave," she whispered. But Millie didn't feel brave. She felt like kicking the doctor. Just then, Kate and Josiah walked into the room. Ellie had texted them while they were at home group and told them about the accident. Kate gave Millie a quick kiss. "Are you all right, Chook?" Millie nodded her head but didn't say anything. Finally, the toe went to sleep and the burning stopped. She shook her head when the doctor pricked the toe and asked her if it hurt at all. She couldn't feel anything. But when she heard the snip, snip of his scissors, she felt sick in her tummy. Mum squeezed her hand and smiled down at her with anxious eyes. Only Kate watched the doctor cut the toe open. Finally, it was all over. The doctor bandaged her foot and gave her a prescription for some antibiotics. Mum kissed her forehead. "Well done, my brave wee thing," she whispered. She looked at her watch. They'd been in the emergency department for hours. 10:30. "Would you like to pop up and see Auntie Penny? She just texted to say she'd love to see us. It's very late, but they might let us into the ward." Millie nodded her head. Mum helped her get into a wheelchair and pushed her to the lift. The ward was dark and quiet, but when Mum asked the nurse if they could see Auntie Penny just for a few minutes, she said they could. Auntie Penny was lying in bed with her eyes closed. Her leg was high in the air, and Millie saw a big metal screw near her knee. She quickly looked away. As soon as Auntie Penny saw them, her eyes filled with tears. "Oh, you poor wee thing. Are you okay?" Millie nodded. She couldn't talk. She felt like she'd cry if she did. "We're a right pair, aren't we?" Auntie Penny gave a little smile. "But I think you'll be riding again before me." That night, Millie lay in bed and thought of Auntie Penny in the hospital all alone. She listened to Jake snoring softly and the slow, deep breathing of the other children. Angel lay curled up at the end of her bed, and Shasta was purring somewhere in the loft. She was glad to be home, and she was glad Mum hadn't said anything about not wearing gumboots. The next day, Millie did her schoolwork lying on the sofa. Her toe was actually feeling quite good, but it was fun to be treated specially. Mum read to them for a long time from Little House on the Prairie. The story was about Ma badly hurting her leg when she was helping Pa try to lift one of the logs for their log house. "Aren't you glad we have doctors and hospitals here?" said Mum. "Imagine being all alone with no help around when something bad happens like that." Millie didn't even want to think about it. She chased away an annoying little fly that kept landing on her leg. It came straight back. She flicked at it again. Another one landed on her arm. Mum flicked one out of her hair and exclaimed, "I hate flies." There seemed to have been so many of them in the barn the last few days. Dad said it was the weather. Suddenly, Sam pointed up at the rafters. "Look, Mum!" A small fantail was fluttering around, swooping and diving. Mum smiled when she saw it. "Never mind what Dad thinks about birds in the barn. I love fantails." The next minute the fantail swooped down and they heard the snap of its tiny beak. Then it turned quickly and swooped again with another snap. "Well, what do you know?" declared Mum. "It's catching the flies." Sure enough, the little bird darted and dived all around the barn, snapping its tiny beak and catching fly after fly. It stayed there all morning, darting and snapping, swooping and catching. By lunchtime there wasn't a fly to be seen anywhere. "Well done, Tilly," cheered the kids. They'd already named them Fantail and had spent the morning writing poems about her and drawing her. Millie looked over at Jake's drawing book. "That's so cool," she said. He had copied a picture of a fantail. "Do you want to read my poem about Tilly?" asked Sam quietly. Millie took his book and read it out loud. "Swoop, swish, snap went the fantail, darting through the air, swishing her tail, snapping the fly. Flutter, flitter, flutter, Tilly the fantail flutters by." Millie looked over at Sam. His face was a bit red, but he looked pleased. "It's pretty cool too," she told him. "Wow, Tilly is famous. Poems and drawings." She turned to Mum. "I hope she comes back tomorrow." "So do I," agreed Mum. "And we won't let Dad throw any of his socks at her either."